Hello and welcome. We are live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Giving fresh impetus to connectivity for Eastern Indian state of Jharkhand, Prime Minister Narendra Modi lays foundation stone and dedicates various railway projects to the nation worth over 6.6 billion in Tatanagar. Also flags off 6 new Vande Bharat trains in Jharkhand. Russia warns the West and Ukraine with an uncontrolled escalation of war as Western leaders debate allowing Ukraine to use their weapons for strikes deep into the Russian territory. Surface-to-surface missile fired at central Israel from Yemen, says Israel Defense Force. Missile hits an unpopulated area. No injuries reported so far. India's traditional festival of Onam being celebrated today with traditional fervour. President Draupadi Murmu, Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar, Prime Minister Narendra Modi greeted the people on the festive occasion. India's national public service broadcaster Doordarshan completes 65 years of its glorious existence. Established on September 15, 1959, it marked the beginning of India's broadcasting era. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a visit to Eastern Indian state of Jharkhand and virtually laid the foundation stone and dedicate to the nation various railway projects worth more than 6.6 billion rupees through video conferencing. PM also laid foundation stone for Madhupur bypass line in Deoghar district and Hazaribagh town coaching depot in Hazaribagh district of Jharkhand. Prime Minister also virtually dedicated to the nation Kurkura Kanarwan doubling, which is a part of Bonda Munda Ranchi single line section and part of Rourkela Gomo route via Ranchi, Muri and Chandrapura stations. The project will help in the increased mobility of goods and passenger traffic considerably. Apart from this, 4 road under bridges shall also be dedicated to the nation for enhancing safety to the common people. And Prime Minister also virtually flagged off 6 Vande Bharat trains. The state-of-the-art Vande Bharat Express trains will improve the connectivity on these routes, which are Tatanagar to Patna, Bhagalpur, Dumka, Howrah, Brahmapur, Tatanagar, Gaya, Howrah, Deoghar, Varanasi and Rourkela, Howrah. And the introduction of these Vande Bharat Express trains will benefit regular travellers, professionals, business and student community. In line with his commitment for housing for all, Prime Minister virtually distributed sanction letters to 20,000 Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin beneficiaries from Jharkhand. PM released first installment of assistance to the beneficiaries. The Prime Minister also participated in Greh Pravesh celebrations of 46,000 beneficiaries. Speaking virtually, PM congratulated the people of Jharkhand on getting 6 new Vande Bharat trains, projects worth over 6.6 billion rupees, expansion of connectivity and travel facilities, as well as Pakka House for thousands of people.
6 नई वंदे भारत ट्रेनें 650 करोड़ से ज्यादा की रेलवे परियोजनाएं, कनेक्टिविटी और यात्रा सुविधाओं का विस्तार और इस सबके साथ साथ झारखंड के हजारों लोगों को पीएम आवास योजना के तहत अपना पक्का घर। मैं झारखंड की जनता जनार्दन को इन सभी विकास कार्यों के लिए बधाई देता हूं।
And campaigning is in full swing for the first phase of the assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir. 24 assembly constituencies will go to polls in this phase on 18th of this month. Top leaders of major political parties are making all-out efforts to woo the voters. And today is Engineers Day. On this occasion, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in a social media post On X greeted the engineers who are driving progress in every field, innovating and solving critical challenges. The PM remembered Sir M. Visvesvaraya, whose contribution to engineering is widely known. And as the conflict between Russia and Ukraine crosses the 900-day mark, the Russian Defense Ministry announced that both the countries have exchanged total 206 prisoners of war on Saturday, 103 from either side. All the exchanged Russian soldiers are now in Belarus. The United Arab Emirates facilitated the exchange through humanitarian mediation. Ukrainian authorities said on Saturday that this was the second exchange in 2 days. In a telegram post, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky announced that 103 Ukrainian military personnel, including 21 officers, had been released. Meanwhile, Russian officials have threatened the West and Ukraine on Saturday with an uncontrolled escalation of war and destruction of Kiev as Western leaders debate allowing Ukraine to use their weapons for strikes deep into the Russian territory. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said late on Friday that his plan is to achieve victory depended on Washington's decision, a clear reference to the authorization for long-range strikes that Kiev has long sought from NATO allies. And pressure is mounting on Ukrainians in military age to join National Army to replenish dwindling number of combatants against Russia. Ending social benefits is one of the measures that are being suggested against those who are unwilling to join troops. A suggestion in this regard has come from Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski after meeting with his Ukrainian counterpart Andrzej Sybiha in Kiev on Saturday. Following the meeting, Poland's foreign minister said that European government should halt welfare benefits to Ukrainian men of military age who are living in their countries. He said this will force them to return home and fight the Russians and also save government money.
Stop paying those social security payments for people who are eligible for the Ukrainian draft. There should be no financial incentives for avoiding the draft in Ukraine. It's not a human right to be paid to avoid the draft to defend your country. We in Poland don't do it. There are no social security payments. And if we did, we would have a significant political problem in our country.
And more than 4.1 million Ukrainians had temporary protection status in European Union countries as of July this year, and about 22% of them were adult men, according to data from the EU Statistics Office Eurostat. And the Russian Defense Ministry said in a daily briefing it had liberated the village of Zelenpersh near the key logistics hub of Pokrovsk. Pokrovsk lies on the intersection of a key road that supplies Ukrainian troops and towns across the Eastern Front and has long been a target for Moscow's army. Over half of the city's 60,000 residents have fled since the conflict began in February 2022, with evacuations ramping up in recent weeks as Moscow's army closes in. While Ukraine had hoped its major cross-border incursion into the Kursk region last month would slow down Russia's advances in the east, Russia, however, has claimed this week to have taken back some of its territory in the western Kursk region in a counter-offensive. And as clashes continue from both sides in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, the Russian air defense destroyed 29 drones that Ukraine launched overnight, targeting 7 Russian regions on Sunday. 15 of the drones were downed over the Bryansk region that borders Ukraine, while the rest were destroyed over the Smolensk, Orlov, Belgorod, Kaluga and Rostov regions. On the other hand, the Ukrainian Defense Forces reported that they had downed 10 out of 14 drones that Russia launched overnight, targeting its territory on Sunday. Further, it said that Russia launched 2 Iskander-M ballistic missiles and 1 Kh-59 guided air missile targeting the southern region of Odessa. And Israel has struck various Hezbollah targets in Lebanon, including weapon storage facilities and a military structure. The strike comes amid rising concerns of a wider conflict in West Asia. As tensions flare up, several international airlines have suspended flights to the region. Now, a surface-to-surface missile was fired at central Israel from Yemen, the Israel Defense Forces said on Sunday. The IDF added that the missile hit an unpopulated area. No injuries have been reported so far. Earlier sirens were sounded across Tel Aviv and central Israel, sending residents running for shelter. Now, thousands of people continue to protest in Israel, demanding that the government strikes a deal with Hamas to ensure the release of hostages held in Gaza. In Tel Aviv, clashes erupted between police officers and protesters during a highway blockade. More street protests resumed in Israel after the IDF discovered bodies of 6 hostages in a Gaza tunnel. The Israeli forces said that captives were shot at close range by Hamas. Around 100 hostages remain in Gaza, at least a third of whom are believed to be dead. And as the campaign for presidential race getting shriller every passing day, US President Joe Biden and Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris cautioned American voters against hate-mongering by former US President Donald Trump. Both Democratic leaders were addressing a gathering at a 2024 Phoenix Awards dinner in Washington, D.C. on Saturday. Hosted by the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, the event brought together political, cultural and activists to honor black excellence. Biden warned of rising threats to harmony and democracy, likening them to ghosts in new governments aiming to strip away freedoms.
We are better off today than we were 4 years ago. Let's be clear. They're old ghosts in new garments trying to seize your power, and extremists coming for your freedoms. Make it harder to vote and have your vote counted. Closing doors of opportunity, attacking affirmative action and the values of diversity, equity, and inclusion. He says immigrants, black and brown immigrants, poison the blood of our country. Right now, his running mate is attacking Haitian Americans in Ohio. It's wrong. It's got to stop. Any president should reject hate in America and incite, not incite it.
Kamala Harris, a former member of the Congressional Black Caucus, emphasized on respecting civil rights of common citizens.
While we move and fight to move our nation forward toward a brighter future, Donald Trump and his extremist allies intend to take our nation backward. They will give tax breaks to billionaires and big corporations, cut Social Security and Medicare, and end the Affordable Care Act, which the CBC fought so hard to pass. But we are not going back.
The evening also celebrated notable figures including White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, and hip-hop icons LL Cool J and MC Lyte for their contributions to the black community. In a final push to secure Wisconsin Democratic vice presidential nominee, Tim Walz urged supporters on Saturday to give their all as the race tightens. Speaking in Superior, Wisconsin, Walz, running alongside Kamala Harris in the heated battle against Donald Trump, called the swing state a battlefield. He encouraged the crowd to have hard conversations with friends and neighbors to rally support for Harris. Walz also called on men to listen to the smart women in their lives, referencing pop icon Taylor Swift, a fellow cat owner whose endorsement of Harris gained over 9 million likes on Instagram. With Wisconsin critical to their campaign, Walz emphasized the importance of every vote in the final stretch.
Kamala Harris did her job Tuesday night. We need to do our job for the next 52 days. Now, I'll go to my grave not understanding why, but I know it's a fact. This is going to be a margin of error race, and it's going to be won in a handful of states. One of them is the state of Wisconsin. So let me, as these guys help me with, put on that coach whistle and get that hat back on. This thing's going to be a battle for the next 52 days.
And Pope Francis' recent comments have sparked debate among U.S. Catholics as they prepare to vote in the upcoming election. During a flight back to Rome, the Pope urged Catholics to choose the lesser evil, criticizing both former President Donald Trump's plan to deport millions of immigrants and Vice President Kamala Harris' stance on abortion rights. His remarks have stirred emotions at New York's St. Patrick Cathedral, where some voters voiced surprise and uncertainty. With 52 million Catholics in the US, their influence could be crucial in the upcoming election.
In my estimation, I can only vote for the person who has the most qualities or characteristics of principle that I could rely on, in which case the lesser of two evils is kind of a compromise.
Lesser of two evils, whichever one you vote for, you are going to, in your mind, no matter if you think they're great, it's still probably going to be the lesser of two terrible choices.
I'm not a person who likes the idea of choosing any evils, so I personally am probably not going to vote this time because I am tired of aligning to what I feel is evil.
We have to educate ourselves about these candidates. We have to get to know more about them before voting. It's not about what the Pope says.
And in a key endorsement ahead of the presidential election, former President and Republican nominee Donald Trump secured the backing of Las Vegas Police Protective Association on Saturday. During the event, Trump expressed gratitude for the support while taking a swipe at Vice President Kamala Harris, criticizing her past performance as a prosecutor.
We have tremendous law enforcement endorsements. We have military endorsements. We have a lot of them. But I just really appreciate it. It's very, very special. But anybody that's a member of Defund the Police, especially a founding member, and even if you're in that group for one day, you can't be president of the United States. All right, and she is one of the founders and stars of Defund the Police, and that's why they have no support whatsoever.
And U.S. Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance made a campaign stop in Greenville, North Carolina on Saturday, rallying support just hours before the East Carolina versus Appalachian State football game. Vance, accompanied by his wife Usha, visited a local sports bar, engaging with patrons, posing for photos and urging voters to back the Republican ticket in the upcoming presidential election. As the election draws near, Vance's visit aimed to energize voters in North Carolina, a key battleground state that could play a decisive role in the race. We'll slip in a very short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Myanmar in the grip of devastating floods. And fuel truck explosion rocks Haiti's southern peninsula.
Pulse Jammu Kashmir decides 2024 Assembly election special bring the turnaround of events, the ground situation and the fact that how Kashmir has shed its terror credentials in the last 5 years and how it has transitioned from conflict to continuity of development.
The election is the heart and the soul of the democracy.
We hope to see Kashmir in lines with one of the best states in India.
Present people who are going to contest, they are proud Indians and this is a big achievement.
These representatives will have their prestige and glory intact. They will be there by the votes of the people, which is the best victory of democracy.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. Philippines is returning to port a Coast Guard vessel anchored in the contested Sabina Shoal in the South China Sea after a 5-month deployment as its mission is accomplished. The Teresa Magbanua had been deployed to monitor suspected Chinese reclamation activities, escalating tensions in the disputed waters. Executive Secretary Lucas Persamin announced that the vessel's mission has been successfully completed despite facing overwhelming odds. The ship is returning to port for repairs and to address the crew's medical needs. This move comes after high-level talks between Manila and Beijing, where China reiterated its demand for the vessel's withdrawal. While the Philippines reaffirmed its stance on Sabina Shoal, there has been no immediate comment from the Chinese embassy in Manila. Now, Chinese authorities prepared for heavy rain on Sunday as a strong typhoon approached the country's heavily populated eastern seaboard. Typhoon Bebinka was expected to make landfall along a swath of coastline, including the megacity of Shanghai, sometime between Sunday night and Monday morning. According to Beijing's Emergency Management Ministry, the storm would cause heavy to torrential downpours with local heavy or extremely heavy rainstorms between Sunday and Tuesday. The Water Resources Ministry on Saturday launched a Level 4 emergency response, the lowest in a tiered system for flooding in Shanghai and the provinces of Jiangsu, Zhejiang and Anhui. Some flights to and from major airports in Shanghai were cancelled or rescheduled on Sunday because of the typhoon. And death toll from Myanmar's devastating floods rose to 74 as of Friday evening after heavy rains triggered widespread floods across the country. Search and rescue operations are underway with at least 89 people missing as of Friday evening. Adverse weather brought on by Typhoon Yagi, the strongest storm to hit Asia this year, has killed many people in Vietnam and Thailand, and flood waters from swollen rivers have inundated cities in both countries. And a fuel truck explosion rocked Haiti's southern peninsula on Saturday, killing at least 24 people and seriously injuring several others. The blast occurred near the coastal city of Miraguane in the NIPS department. Prime Minister Gary Connell visited the scene, expressing condolences and overseeing rescue efforts. He confirmed that some of the most critically injured victims were airlifted by helicopter for urgent medical treatment.
Just lived. Many dozen of victims wounded, severely burnt. Many had been evacuated to Kais. Unfortunately, we could not take those who were the most serious because the helicopter couldn't fit them. As we speak, there is a group of ambulances that are trying to get there as fast as possible by road to recuperate those who have been burned at more than 80% of their bodies. We have tried to come with these we could take. Unfortunately, just like it is often the case in these horrific scenes, we came to find all the doctors, nurses, everyone that has a medical skill mobilized in the hospital to help them, to help the victims. We promise to do everything we can to assure that the hospital has the material.
The festival of Onam is being celebrated across the world among the Malayali community with traditional fervour. The festival is mainly celebrated in the South Indian state of Kerala. The festival is connected with the return of Asura or demon king Mahabali, under whose reign everyone lived in happiness and equality. As part of the Onam festivities, homes are decorated with beautiful floral carpets called pukkalam of various designs and colours. Onam Sadhya, which comprises various traditional vegetarian dishes, pickles and desserts, served on a banana leaf, is the highlight of the festival. And major temples, including Sabrimala, Sri Krishna Temple at Guruvayur and Sri Padmanabha Swami Temple, witnessed heavy rush since the wee hours of the morning. And decorated with colourful Rangoli art and flowers, the temples are creating the perfect divine atmosphere with people chanting hymns and singing devotional songs. The festive flair of Onam can be seen all over. And operating in the beginning from the premises of the then All India Radio, Doordarshan, India's national public service broadcaster, has come a long way in connecting with the masses. Established on this day in 1959, now it completes 65 years of its glorious existence. DD India reports.
Doordarshan means the glimpse of all afar in Hindi. It started as a modest telecast experiment on 15th of September in 1959. A leading European company exhibited its closed-circuit TV equipment at an international exposition in India in 1959. At the end of the expo, the equipment was gifted to the people of India. In the beginning, television transmission was limited to half an hour, twice a week, with the program content reflecting the developmental priorities of the nation. The viewership was confined to members of 20 tele-clubs started by the government in Delhi. Bulky and expensive television sets were provided for community viewing. Subsequently, 250 schools in Delhi joined the viewers and programming focused on educational content. This was the genesis of Krishi Darshan, a program dedicated to the farmers. Almost unnoticed at first, news in Hindi made a humble beginning in 1965 with the transmission limited to a very short range in the vicinity of the national capital. By 1972, Doordarshan services were extended to Mumbai and Amritsar and then on to 7 other cities by 1975. Doordarshan and All India Radio were bifurcated on April 1st, 1976. Subsequently, a signature tune was composed by Pandit Ravi Shankar. This ushered in an era of self-confident assertion. The years that followed saw Doordarshan News breaking many barriers. Reporters were sent out to cover national and international events. The coverage of the Asian Games in 1982 was a major turning point, with New Delhi playing the host. Coloured TV was introduced on the eve of the Asian Games. The country even saw the Indian victory of the Cricket World Cup in 1983 on Doordarshan. Indians were spellbound as Doordarshan telecast the first Indian cosmonaut, Rakesh Sharma, orbiting in space. Doordarshan was coming of age. This was the time when some of the programs of Doordarshan became blockbusters. Programs like Hum Log, Bunyad were powerfully evoking a magical spell over audiences. We've all heard from our elders as to how the streets of India used to be deserted when the mythological series Ramayana was telecast in the late 1980s. Many other long-running series were setting the standards of TV broadcasting. Mahabharat, Bharate Khoj, Malgudi Days, Ghalib, Circus were all real blockbusters of the time. Cut to the 21st century. In an age of the breaking news, Doordarshan continues to maintain its tradition of providing accurate and up-to-date content to its viewers. Its own English international channel, DD India, caters to not only domestic but international audiences. It proudly collaborates with other public broadcasters like that of Germany's DW and many other independent news agencies.
UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak.
Over the years, Doordarshan has carried the aspirations of a billion-plus population and remained conscious of its responsibilities of a public service broadcaster. On 15 September today, we from the entire Doordarshan family invite you to be a part of our celebration. Tanvi Taneja for DD India.
Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.